All right, today is February 9, 2018. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes CSI implementation group. Let's get started. So first off, our PRs that need attention. Looks like host path CSI sanity fixes are in by Luis. Luis, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I have two PRs. The sanity fixes is one of them. And where I'm finding out that Travis doesn't support mount, so I'm going to have to skip the mount test. So other than that, everything should work out. So I'm just doing that right now. And then the next part is I have another PR for automated automated Docker builds and then push into Kwai for host path. And that one won't build until the previous one passes because it's only after success. See? So.
Got it. And how do you share the credentials for Kwai with Travis?
It's actually, you have to go to the owner of the Travis job.
Mm-hmm.
They have the ability to go into settings and set invariant variables. And you can see that invariant variables right there being used. Those get pulled from the settings in the invariant variables, line 19.
Okay. And I assume they have a mechanism to secure those credentials.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They've been doing that for a long time.
All right, cool.
And I also created, if we use Docker, I like to use my account, but luckily in Kwai, I can create a robot and it has its own account, its own permissions.
I see.
So.
Okay. Sergey?
Okay, right. So since the changes to CSI spec got merged, so now I'm pointing the dependency of the Kubernetes to the master, the CSI spec, and basically here's PR changes whatever we have on the Kubernetes side to be compliant with the 0.020 spec. So it can be merged anytime. I mean, it doesn't have to be merged now, but like before the deadline of 110, it can go in and we will be fine.
Okay, this is great. I'm glad you got this ready so we can pretty much just go on it whenever we
are ready. Quick question. Are you planning on shipping the .1 or .2 spec in 110?
.2.
Okay.
That's the goal. Fingers crossed. Let's see.
I would.
But the .1 spec will work, right?
No. .1 and .2 have breaking changes, so it won't.
Yeah. In what way?
Basically, if you take a look at this PR, it's changing a bunch of stuff. For example, unsigned integers to integers.
Well, what I'm asking is if we can't get the .2 stuff in, will the .1
yeah, absolutely. Like the existing stuff will continue to work as is, and it'll be fine. It'll just be that we didn't get the chance to pick up the cool hot newness.
Okay, can we cut or tag it?
Tag 0.2?
0.1.
Oh, it's already been tagged.
Across all the stuff? Because I didn't see it in a couple of the repos.
So we had a item that we took to, where is it? Get this thing out of the way. It should be green at the bottom. Update dependency on external pointer to, so Nick did this. If you scroll down in the doc, you'll find that the PRs where he actually did this work. So This was early in this quarter. Basically, he went through and just made sure everything was pointing at the 0.1 tag, both in the external repo and in the Kubernetes repo.
Okay.
So we should be good there. We just need to make sure we rinse and repeat for 0.2, assuming that's cut in time. Okay, cool. This looks great. And we'll keep an eye on that for once 0.2 is cut.
No, that's 59.20.209.
Oh, okay. Thanks for catching that. And this one is
Yeah, it's mine too. Since our end-to-end testing depends on the Go CSI package.
Mm-hmm.
And last night we managed to merge the 0.020 changes into Go CSI, so they cut a branch for us, 0.020. And then this PR addresses changes in the sanity, not the sanity, end-to-end testing.
Wait,
that Louis
0.20 got cut already?
No. The Go CSI.
Go CSI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Got
You
it.
know, the mock driver we are
Gotcha.
using
Okay.
for.
Yeah.
So I was working with Andrew last night to basically to push him to do that,
Got
and
it.
it happened. So basically, I need Louis to review it and merge it if he is okay. And in this case, then that will unblock to do 0.020 changes to attacher, provisioner, and the rest of the Kubernetes CSI repos.
Yeah, and
Cool.
I reviewed it and I put a comment on it. We just need to, you and I can take it offline, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Cool. Sounds good to me. And just for my edification, what is exactly being updated? What component in this PR?
End-to-end testing.
Oh, okay. End-to-end testing of the drivers.
Yeah, basically. So whatever runs with the CSI sanity. So I mean, there are some dependencies in this repo, and that's what I was
Okay.
addressing.
So the sanity tester is being updated, and then once that's updated, the drivers themselves can be updated to pick up the new version of the sanity tester.
Yeah, that's the
And they
plan.
also would need to be updated to reflect the changes in the 0.2 spec. Okay. Why are there so many files in here?
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. 1,700 files changed.
Looks like Dep updated it.
Okay, we could probably take that offline. Probably worth taking a look at, though. Okay, let's move along. Next up is bugs. Looks like there's no bugs that we're tracking at the moment. And then updates that folks want to report. Vlad, looks like you have something.
Yeah, this is based on the conversation we had yesterday with Aaron.
All right.
Remember, you told me to make a note of this particular call to figure out something we want to integrate in beta.
Yeah.
And this is to validate volume capabilities.
Yep. So this call exists in the spec, but Kubernetes currently doesn't use it. The intention behind this call is to verify that for pre-provisioned volumes, that it has the capabilities that the CO wants. For us, we could theoretically, I was thinking about this, use this when a PV object is created and it points to a CSI driver. Then we could run this to verify that it is valid. But I don't think we have any hooks that are volume specific on PV creation at the moment.
I'll tell you from an application standpoint, it would be nice to have some easy to use like shell script or something else that could query the bot volume and get capabilities from it. You know, to know if it supports replication or backup or encryption. But I don't think that's something you want to really bake into kubectl or anything else.
Yeah.
So maybe a shell script that queries this and puts out a result.
For now, I'm okay just punting this to the next release and like thinking about it then. It's pretty much non-critical for us since if we don't do validation on the PV as it's created, if the end user creates it and has bad variables in it, eventually it's going to fail attach or mount. And that is fine. We can consider this as a kind of a fast failure mode in the future as an optimization. So I don't think we need it yet, but let's keep track of it for the next release.
Okay.
And I think there's a couple other commands that are exposed in CSI we should also look at that we don't implement and see if there's any way we could use them. I think list volumes is another one. This might be useful in some scenarios. Get capacity, possibly around quota stuff. And I think we use the rest of these.
Do we have any, has there been any progress on the, because I haven't looked at the PR, on the probe stuff?
I posted on it the day before yesterday. I haven't checked back since.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if there was. I need to follow up on that as well.
Okay.
So get capacity and list volumes. We'll look at all of those for the next quarter. Okay, Go CSI changes for 0.2 merged, unblocking merging, Kubernetes CSI modules. This was what Sergey was discussing earlier here. Sergey, do you want to talk about versioning?
Right. When I checked repos, so basically 010 kind of writes on top of the master, and that makes difficult to to go forward. So it would be great either to cut 010 and leave master to 020, or create a separate branch for 020. Then we can work on 020 without breaking whatever was done for 010, because it seems that some people are still kind of using and planning to use 010.
That's a great idea. So, or cut a 0.10 branch for external provisioner, external attacher.
Oh, okay.
I cut the one for external provisioner. External attacher, driver register needs it.
Driver registrar and the drivers repo. And yeah.
And if it's all possible, to keep the same name for these branches. So basically, like to follow some standard, I don't know, V010 or CSI-010, but to be consistent. Whatever you decide, I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as it's the same.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, there's a correlation to the CSI version that it's going to support, but it's possible that we may need to rev more frequently. And we need to resolve this. Who wants to take this on as a task?
I already branched mine. Already branched CSI test. Just wanted to say.
Okay.
010. But what I do when I make releases of CSI Sanity is I make the version 01. It's like a Fedora style 010 dash and a version. So that's what I do for CSI Sanity as a release program. But the branch is just 010. You see what I mean? Because the branch continues. It's not a tag. It's a branch.
So branch name would be
B010, and then you can make tags in there called 010 dash and then a version, like 3, 4, 5, like that.
V 1.0 or
010, no, V010, the branch name, and then dash and whatever number you want.
Whatever number you want. So like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. That seems reasonable to me.
That's like a Fedora style. Let's just copy it. So I did not invent this.
I think if we're tagging anything that may be used in other projects, probably should stick with Semver as close as possible. It's simple, because then if we're using planning to use dep, it makes things way simpler if it's tagged using Semver.
Hey, I don't think that's a good for the tag. Right, you want 0.1.0. Never mind. That's I guess that's all right.
Because basically what we want to do is represent two pieces of information in here. One is the CSI version that this thing supports, and the other is the version of the whatever artifact that it is that we're releasing.
The -1 is usually the build, like the build iteration.
Yeah.
Right, because you may have a CSI spec.
No, the -1 is not, well, in Fedora it doesn't mean that. It means a version.
It's a build number in Fedora.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not a build number.
Why not?
The dash part?
It's an RPM change, actually. Well, I guess you could call
Right.
it. Yeah.
It's, I mean, like if you build your RPM, it gets like a -1, then you like try to rebuild it's -2, but
yeah,
the real important part is XYZ.
Yeah. Yep.
My only concern is for a component like the external provisioner or the attacher. If it, if the version starts skewing away from what CSI is, it definitely causes confusion.
Yeah, and that wouldn't happen. I just want to make sure that if you use dep, you just point to the branch to v010, and you always get all the updates.
I see. So the branch would. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Don't put that the tag. The tag is just to keep track of the bugs. It's the branch name is the most important thing.
So how about this? We do branch name snap to CSI version, e.g. 010, and then tags are actually going to be completely independent of CSI version.
So here's the situation with that one. When let's say we make a release of host path plugin, right? And it's being used out in the field or whatever, or no host path plugin, driver registrar, there needs to be a version in it. And that version should show what CSI version is compatible with or something.
What I'm thinking is like every time you cut a tag, you basically say this is the CSI version, like in the release notes that it supports. And so
that creates a process. We just need a process for that then.
Yeah. Basically need. But if we're going to go down that path, then snapping the branches to the CSI version doesn't make sense. It should snap to the version of the.
Yeah. That's why. Yeah, it's a rat hole.
Yeah. Does somebody want to investigate this process of having release notes and independent versions and doing semver and then having our own branch version and everything?
What's semver?
Semver is just 0.0.0 style of
the
semantic versioning.
Well, so you're not trying to reflect the Kubernetes version in this, right?
Not the Kubernetes version, not the CSI version. We're just saying for this component, it's going to have its own independent version. And in order to figure out what this version has inside it, there would be some release notes. And the release notes would specify things like this version uses this version of CSI.
I think we could specify it here. So the tag would reflect that that component's version, the full component version, right?
Correct. It would be, so tag would be
both CSI and the actual component.
It's just like a semver of the component, not CSI, not Kubernetes. And instead of this, we're saying it would be major version.
That doesn't work now.
0.0.
You're talking about major minor then.
Major, or how about just major? V0.
That doesn't work now with, well, I'm guessing you don't not matching CSI anymore then.
Right. We're dropping the CSI correlation.
Just to let you know, this becomes very confusing for developers. Like,
So, hey, you know what? You guys are probably going to throw up on this, but I've noticed in the way that they get around some of these version skew issues with API in like Java that tend to work okay is to have the version of the API that it supports as part of either the class name or the function call, and then write the version of the actual component completely separate, right? Because this is what we're going to get in trouble here, because if it's, sure, we support CSI spec 0.1.0, but as we find bugs, we're going to have to rev something that shows that it's changing.
Right.
But it's you can't reflect the spec version and then also the component version in the same thing. But by baking the API standard into the function calls, then it's pretty well known and obvious. I don't know if people like that.
Sorry, can you say that again?
So
it's difficult. I do like it, but it's definitely difficult. Yeah.
And it really doesn't map real well to these components, because these components do not really expose an API like the external, not to the rest of the world at least.
No, I know. It should have been in the CSI spec.
Oh, I see, the spec itself.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have like a validate volume capabilities v0.1, and then.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we have that all over Kubernetes. So.
But it's still, I mean, you could still do the same thing in the components. Like you could have external attacher v0.1.
Yeah, I think the external components will probably, the easiest thing to do is to track them separately. That would be the easiest thing to do, and capture the correlation in the release notes. If we try to capture the correlation in the actual version itself, then it's all over the place.
Yeah, it's the mess.
Okay, so let's say versioning will be independent of CSI. And we're saying branch names are going to be major versions of component, and tags will be semver of component.
But in this case, basically, let's say you have multiple components, right? Multiple versions. So it would be, it would be challenging to see which external component will work with other external components. Because, you have to basically read the documentation or release notes for every component before you can see if, let's say, 0.2 will work with the 0.3 or 0.1,
So how do some of these operating systems do it when they pick up a new version of the kernel, for example?
Version function call names.
Pray.
Well, yeah, pray, and the package.
It's ugly, but that's the only way that really works.
Yeah, and then the packaging system helps out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also this is really hard for us because we're such in early stages. But once we go into a standardized model, then it makes it much easier. So.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just like it's every 2-3 months we get a new version, so it's just really hard.
I think maybe right now we just tag the version for now. So, and then if we need to track against. If we need to track against the CSI itself, then we branch a specific. Then the branch can reflect the CSI tag. Maybe, I don't know. And the tag will be the project tag will be the actual version. That's that could be an option.
Yeah, I would agree too. I mean, at least there's a common theme here is a CSI. So if we could at least use it as a guideline, at least at the beginning, and then I mean, you'll decide whether it's acceptable to continue using CSI as a branch name, or you will come up with a new model.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that's what
so
that's what I do right now, which is what I kind of mentioned at the beginning.
initially snap to CSI version until we need to diverge, and then hope we figure it out.
And just to give you an example, just one thing, the Go client for Kubernetes has its own versioning. It makes it very difficult to know what version that is according to what Kubernetes version I have, right?
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a very difficult. But the other APIs, they have the same version as the Kubernetes, and that makes it easy, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we raise this at the broader level and push for versioning and the function call names?
Again, I think that's just tough. That's a tough sell.
I'm not sure that'll help us though.
Plus gRPC doesn't play well with that.
Why wouldn't it play well with that?
There's just names. With
yeah, they are just named, but you also don't forget that gRPC also support versioning at the field level. So if if you reflect the version in the method call name, then if you have a field change, what do you do?
Well, the field change, you change the method call name. So it'd be version 3, get capabilities version 3, and it'd have a different method structure. That's how you have to do that pretty much if you want the spec to iterate, right? It'll never be backwards compatible.
Yeah.
I know it's ugly. Like it's like the ugliest thing in computer science, but it's the only thing I've ever seen work.
Let's bring it up at the community meeting. We could talk through some of the problems that we're having and take it from there. Versioning sucks.
Well, I mean, we kind of knew that some of this stuff would bubble up as there's hard implementation going on. So
yeah, we've been kicking the can down the road for a while.
Right.
Okay, so the plan is go ahead and branch the components with a tag v0, v1 corresponding. Initially, we're going to just snap to CSI, and the tags are going to be essentially the same as CSI, so 0.10. And then we'll do one for 0.12. And then if we need to diverge from CSI at some point, we'll figure it out. It's a terrible idea, but it's the easiest path forward.
This is going to happen. I mean,
absolutely.
It'd be better to start off start off with a strategy that's going to scale.
Yeah, I mean, like the only strategy that I know is, we have 3 options realistically that we can implement immediately. One is this, which sucks. 2 is that we have completely independent versioning, which means if you want to figure out which version to use, you have to go and look at the release notes, which is a little bit painful for the consumer. And 3 is that we abandon SEMVer and we have like a combination of CSI and our own versioning, which we could do, but it might break tooling that depends on SEMVer.
It doesn't, like I said, you point to the branch and it doesn't break tooling. So.
Right, so the branch would always reflect, if we make the branch reflect the CSI.
Yeah, because in a way, you think about it that way, a branch is just a continuation of changes, right? And then, so you have a contract with those changes, which is the version of the CSI, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
what would be head? Head would be what?
Head, you mean master?
Oh yeah, master, yeah.
So master is always the latest change that we're trying to work with on, like with CSI. So right now, master would be the workforce 0.2.0.
Yeah, makes sense.
So master would reflect the full version of what
the guaranteed thing that's going to happen is you cut your 0.2 and then we find a bug and we need to release 0.2.3 and then we're always out of sync with the CSI spec.
Yeah.
That's 100% going to happen.
Yeah, and then the branch continues to live with the latest changes and updates. So what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, go to the branch, follow the branch with a version number for tags if we want to do that. But really, it's the branch name that we want to track. It's not really the version.
No, I'm saying that the release version of the component is going to be out of sync with the CSI spec version immediately.
Why?
The first time that we have a bug, we're going to have to rev the Z on the CSI or on the component version, and that's not going to match with whatever the CSI version is.
No, I'm saying not to do that. I don't know if I'm getting confused. So the branch name is the CSI name, right?
Okay.
And then any work that we do there to like fix a bug that we find is still the branch name. It keeps it.
Yeah, but when you release something off that branch, when you release the actual thing, what's the version of it going to be?
The version is the CSI dash the release.
So you're using the dash part as like the de facto Z?
And nobody cares about that because it's just string, right? Nobody's going to look at a released the containerized release of
yeah, but it
works.
What if we use the minor portion as the iterative part of what changed?
Problem is the minor version may rev in the CSI spec, and we could confuse people.
Yeah.
Using the dash though, I mean, it's going to break stuff like Fedora builds.
I don't think so. Fedora is pretty good. They even have they have like huge Git hashes for versioning.
Yeah, that's true. I guess they do stick that at the end.
My only concern with the dash is we would have to check to see if this stuff is ever vendored, and somebody probably will. And if they're using dep, how that would? I guess they could always use the hash. Right.
Yeah, they should. No, we should comment that if you use dep, always point to the branch.
Right, but if the branch has the dash, I'm not
sure.
No,
the branch shouldn't have dashes. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you just said it did.
No. The branch is just a CSI name. The tag on that branch for that release.
Oh, tag on that branch. Okay.
Yeah, you can have multiple tags for the same branch, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it sounds like we might be moving towards the third option here. Third option is abandon semver and use a combination of CSI and independent version. And in that case, the branch name is going to be the major version of CSI, V0, V1, etc. And then the tag is going to be CSI version dash component version.
Yep. And then the component version will be whatever you want. For example, as an example, this is how it works in CSI test. And the component version is just a number, a single number.
Mm-hmm. Well, it would be good to just have a semver. Yeah. Like, how do I know that your component is now like 1.0?
There's no, it's like, think of it like Google Chrome. It's 44, 45, 46. It's just a number, right? Doesn't mean anything. It's just the next one.
So we're not completely abandoning sim versioning for the branch name, right? We're just because it's gonna be pegged to CSI.
No, the branch name, like I said, is the CSI branch.
Right.
Yeah.
So it will be simvered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta run. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
No, just.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just kidding. I was saying.
Okay. Cool. So let's do this with the versions. And anybody want to take this as the action item?
A couple of weeks ago, and someone.
Yeah, I'll tag them.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and add a task, and then I'll put Brad's name on there.
Yeah, and I just need a review for the change that I have for CSS host path driver, so I can merge that.
Is it in the?
Yeah, you have it up there. The two of them. I just need reviews for them.
Okay.
One depends on the other. Yeah.
Let's see. To do needs review.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it on the Slack channel now.
Yeah, I was gonna say put it on Slack.
Who's gonna look at this?
You take it. Thanks.
Vlad?
Yeah, I'll take it on.
Okay. And what was the other one?
They went right below it. That depends on that one to work.
Okay.
It won't work until it succeeds the build, and then it will push it.
Cool. All right. And one more update for me was the topology PR went into, or is open against CSI. I'm going to be addressing comments for it and hopefully driving that forward. If you're interested, take a look at it. I'll post a link here. And that's pretty much it.
Hey, there's a face-to-face for this coming up. Was there a date established for that?
No, so that got abandoned. I think for the CSI community, they wanted to do a face-to-face, but they were planning dates which were like 1 or 2 weeks away, which is very difficult for folks to actually plan around. And so we abandoned that. February looked like it was going to be difficult for most people. So now the plan is to pick it up again at one of the next community meetings and try to plan something for either March or February or April.
Okay, cool.
Brad, what's your GitHub Bchilds or
Child's
SP? Child. Cool. All right. We'll go over this real quick and see if there's anything folks are blocked on.
Saad, if you could set up a meeting with Jordan to talk about the credentials, because I mean now it's a good, it would be a good time. We have a changes in the spec, so we could can work on that.
Okay, sounds good. I will try to remember to do that.
Well, last thing is that I don't know if anybody knows, CSI Sanity got chosen.
Ah, very nice. So you guys had that meeting yesterday, right?
Yeah, and they sent out an email on that. Yeah. CSI Sanity is now the tool.
When you say chosen to go on the CSI site?
Part of the it's part of the CSI project. It should move. I don't know yet the status on what to do next, but it should move to that repo, and it should always match the next changes. So when you make a change,
a lot of debate in that meeting?
No, it was pretty good meeting.
And are you guys picking up some of the stuff from the other two that were in the running?
No.
Okay. Wow. Good job. That's impressive. Okay.
So, but that definitely is going to be a community team, and the goal is that somebody makes a change in the spec, they also make a change in CSI Sanity to check it automatically.
Yeah. Okay. So next thing to keep an eye on is that we have 2 weeks left until code freeze for Kubernetes. So that means the stuff in this first block here, we need to start keeping a very, very close eye on. And especially the P0s and P1s. Let's make sure we're making progress on them. I know a lot of them have dependencies on the CSI spec itself. I'm going to try to drive some of these changes and figure out what we want and what we want to abandon and try to get a 0.2 cut sooner rather than later. And that way we can pick it up in Kubernetes. So we'll pick that up on Monday and go from there. All right, folks. That's it from my end.
Okay, take care.
Take care.
Later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.